Good afternoon, everybody. It is a gorgeous but very cold day here in Pagosa Springs. Welcome. I'm Mary Jo Coulihan, the Executive Director for the Chamber of Commerce, here on our weekly live stream show. I'm going to keep it pretty short today because we have some wonderful guests with some fabulous information that I think is going to be very informative to you. So I don't want to take up a lot of time. But first and foremost, I do want to thank everybody that participated this past weekend in our Winterfest activities. And so what a great number of events. The downside, of course, was everybody would have been an absolutely gorgeous year to see the balloons launch. But unfortunately, the cloud cover was too low. It was unsafe for them to fly, as well as it was snowing both Saturday and Sunday mornings. So we were unable to fly. However, the Marcus Parade, thanks to the Lost Cajun and Rugby's Rescue, as well as the Sleds on Res, the Penguin Plunge, with our three teams that plunged, with the Humane Society winning top honors yet again. And then, of course, the BB Gun Biathlon and the Cross Country Ski Clinic. And rounding out everything, of course, was ski juring over at the Archuleta County Fairgrounds and the dance on Saturday night. That's kind of why I still don't have a voice. But anyways, it was a great weekend, and we thank you. And we really want to thank our sponsors. As you can see today, the Choke Cherry was our title sponsor for Winterfest. We had a lot of other sponsors in so many different entities, with Sleds on Res, with the balloon rally, with ski juring. These events don't happen without our business community, and we thank you so very, very much. Events aren't over yet, so we have another round of events coming up. Most importantly, it is our Chamber annual meeting and community celebration. That's going to take place on February 8th. It's a two-part event. It kicks off with a community conversation. We started this last year, and we're really excited about the reviews and the reception that the community had. And not to be outdone, we're going to have another great community conversation this year. We have James Dickoff with the town of Pagosa Springs, who's the economic development planner for the town of Pagosa Springs. He's going to be talking about a lot of projects that are happening in 2023. On the heels of that, and kind of concurrently with that, we have the new Main Street program. So Kat McFarland, who is the Main Street coordinator as well as administrator for the CDC, she's going to be with us on that day as well. And last but certainly not least is Derek Woodman, who is the county administrator. He's going to be giving us kind of a preview on what some of the potential short-term rental new guidelines for the county will be. So it's going to be a very exciting meeting. It's going to be a very informative meeting. We're doing this because we want our business community to be there to listen and be informed from the source. Don't get a third party. Come to the source and listen and be educated and have your questions answered. This is not a complaint session. This is an educational session. What is also going to be very important is we're going to honor some wonderful people and organizations in our community. So the community conversation will be followed by the community awards, and that will be celebrating our citizen, volunteer, nonprofit, and small business of the year for 2022. So you don't want to miss that. We're going to have delicious hors d'oeuvres by Pagosa Baking Company and a cash bar. You can get your tickets online at pagosachamber.com and just purchase your tickets. It's super easy, and we'll see you there on Wednesday, February 8th. It begins at 4:00, and a lot of fun will be had. So enough about me and our events. We have some exciting business information for our community. You know, I always say that people want, one of the major issues that faces our business community, but not just our business community, but our residents as well, is broadband. And a lot of times changes just don't happen fast enough for us. We feel like it's like watching grass grow. But I can assure you there is so much that goes into making sure that we get broadband to this community. It does take time, and it takes a lot of effort. And so I have three people on with me today that I'm pleased to bring in. And that, of course, Here we go. We have Stacie Mcdonald with Visionary. We have Emily Lashbrooke with our Community Development Corporation. And we also have Eric Hittle, who is with the Archuleta County Broadband Program. So I don't know. Everybody can raise their hand. Who wants to talk about the really good news of some broadband expansion here in our downtown area? Stacie with Visionary, can I kick it off to you, please?
Absolutely. First, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
First thing I want to say is just thank you for having us on. We do want to get this information out to the community as it happens. Building fiber is kind of a lengthy process, and so you build a phase at a time, a bit at a time, and so it's continually expanding and growing. But we've been really excited about this phase starting up, which is going to give more opportunity to folks downtown, and we're going to continue to grow as well. So
great. Well, sometimes we need to have no disrespect intended, but somebody has to geek out on the technology of it. And there is no better geek than Eric Hittle to tell us about this project because, of course, being the broadband coordinator here, I think you know every square inch. And so tell us kind of where this project is and what it does for our community.
Yeah, it's basically downtown, and I don't know if I did just recently, so you might have your email pulled up, send you the press release if you're able to share the screen, or maybe I can. But
I don't think you can, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay, well,
it's give there, us a description. I think we know the street areas.
The description is between the middle school, essentially, on the west side, all the way on the east side to the First Street Bridge, and really all of town, including both businesses and residences in that entire zone. And that's what Visionary kind of calls it, is a zone that they built out. So it's a very quick access. Normally with fiber, it takes a little longer if you're just going to do it the traditional way, to have to build it into your house. And there's really very high-end specialized equipment and skill set that would be required to get you tapped in. Well, this is pre-built to be almost a plug and play kind of arrangement. And I think the turn time is usually about a week thereabouts, if that sounds right, Stacie, as far as when you would put in your request and when they could connect it into your house. And so just as fast as the wireless used to be that people might be used to with Visionary, but in this case, fiber. So in that zone, it's already pre-built out for that entire area. It also includes a zone that they had previously finished that we didn't do a press release because there just wasn't that many residences, but there's a few along Lewis Street and Main Street. So that was a previously built zone. So both of those zones show up in the press release. And if we are able to pull that up on the screen, that should be what you see.
Okay. So if there is a business, and what kind of service is this? Is it just, 100 by 100? Is it, what kind of service? I think that's part of the big news.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that. I think we're going to have gig by gig, which is what a lot of people get. And then I think for business, we also have 100 meg option for people that want it. But in the residential, I think we're mostly doing gig by gig.
Wow, that's pretty.
Which is so amazing and fast. I'm pretty jealous.
Yeah, yeah, that is amazing. So I know. Pardon me.
Mary Jo, I was able to pull it up. If you want to share my secondary screen, do you see it?
Let's see if we can do this. Well,
there we go.
Okay, so that is the area that they just completed. So it actually includes a lot of the residences there. Pretty much the whole area until you start to go out to Snowball, where it opens up into the fields and all the way to the river. And then this is the downtown area that was previously done. So hopefully that illustrates it a little bit for you.
Okay.
And I think anyone, if someone is doing, video conferencing, if they're trying to do, high upload or download, if they have a POS system, with some kind of electronic system where they're cashing out customers, that can be such a headache if that's not working well. And so this gig by gig it just works so speedy, and I think people would see a big difference in their business for sure. And then as far as residential, it's really the same thing. So many people are working from home. So many people are learning from home. And then there's just the things that get us by in our life that we do online, like streaming television and all those kind of things. And so this is just going to improve that experience exponentially.
Okay. So, Stacie, is there going to be a furthering build out in the downtown area? And can you give us kind of a timeline for that?
Well, I would love to. I did chase down our engineers a little bit today, and they are just still in the development of some of those things.
Okay.
The most important thing is that we're always expanding and growing. When you put this kind of investment in, you want it to grow and you want to continue to participate. So again, it's not the fastest process to get a fiber build in, but it does continually expand and go on. And I think they're working on some plans and ideas of which way they're going to expand next. But we'll keep you guys posted.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to that question, but I want to switch to Emily for a moment. Emily, your office has assumed the broadband projects and that the broadband expansion, which of course we've been working on for years, but it's almost like a tipping point for us now that I think or that perfect storm or whatever idiom you want to use, that is going to carry Archuleta County into the future for broadband.
Yes, Mary Jo, you are exactly right. The CDC prior to my arrival had been working on broadband for a long time with Jason Cox and Eric Hittle, and they really teed this up nicely for me to walk in. This success is really due to all of their hard work to lay the foundation of our backbone and to create the relationships with Visionary. As you said, I inherited this office. I am doing my best to champion it, and I can tell you that broadband was not my first language. It is now my second language, and I do my best to keep up with my tech partners here. But I couldn't be more pleased that this community is starting to see 1 gigabit service. And I know Eric and I are working really hard to get some more infrastructure in place to hopefully deploy some more broadband across the county.
Well, I think we have another exciting announcement. And do you want to talk a little bit about the grants that you've received and what that is going to precipitate for this community as well?
Yes, and Eric, chime in here. We were awarded a $2 million DOLA grant that will actually create a redundant loop within Archuleta County. We are using some existing lines and we are making this loop. What that will do for our business community more than anything is that when the line gets cut by a backhoe, the whole downtown corridor will not be disconnected from fiber.
But that never happens, Emily.
Oh, I know. It just never happens. Like I said.
But just in case. Okay.
Yeah.
Call before you dig.
Yeah, there you go. Dave Waller,
Yes.
he'll thank us all.
There's any manner of things that can go wrong, and it's nice to have redundancy wherever you can.
Sure.
Yeah, it's important. And that's a value of Visionaries, is to try to have redundant internet, because we do know that things are going to happen and people need to be able to rely on it.
That's awesome. So some plans will be in the works on where that expansion potentially will happen next in the community. There'll be some prioritization.
Yes, there absolutely is. We already have a plan for the $2 million grant, and Eric can talk more to that, the specifics of that. What is really exciting, though, is all of this work has to be done by June of 2023. So you're going to see a big increase in the bandwidth and redundancy just in this short period of time. Eric, do you want to give them the detailed location?
Yeah, well, as far as the grant that we're really referring to, that is building some redundancy into a ring of fiber that already existed that we're tying into, that was running on La Plata electric lines from near the hospital, or actually out from the Pirelli Ranch substation from La Plata all the way down to the fairgrounds. And so we've worked with La Plata Electric as another good partner to try to get that accessible to us. And so we're interconnecting to that, to where that redundancy is going to be available, so that if there is a fiber cut going down Highway 160, we don't lose all this great internet that, you know, Visionary has helped build down there in the downtown region. It doesn't suddenly go dark. It reroutes itself around the other path. The other advantage to that is we should be able to help service some of the community and subdivisions and developments along that path too, which if you live there, you know where that transmission line is, but it generally kind of runs through part of Meadows and is Timber Ridge, as well as just some non-development where people live around Trujillo Road. But that was what we call the Southern Ring, and we're actively, and we mentioned that in the radio show this morning, looking at building as our next expansion the Northern Ring or Northern Loop of fiber that will help Visionary or some other provider build to the developments in the northern area all the way up to Hatcher. Beyond those areas, I'm not saying that we'll never look at it, but it's the area that we're focusing on first because it's closer to our existing fiber and where the majority of the people of Archer County live. But we're thinking about the others beyond that too. It's just a little harder when there's a few houses. We're very spread out in this county, and there's houses spread out down the Lower Blanco and up in the Navajo, and getting fiber to those will be a more difficult realm. But if we can do it, we will. And there's some monies that are coming available in the next couple of years that it's always possible.
Sure. And, you know, we live in a very terrain challenged community, and, you know, wireless just doesn't like trees and mountains. I can't figure it out, but doesn't like it. So sometimes we constantly get questions on, I can't get good broadband, and that's because you live in a dip or you are blocked by a huge grove of trees, so or copse of trees. So there are alternatives out there, but, you know, I just think it's so important for our community to realize that there are efforts, huge efforts, and the money that this county has contributed and the town to get these grants is, you know, the multiplication of what we've received versus what we've contributed is, you guys have a better idea tenfold than I do. So
I've been shooting for keeping up our ratio, which has been about 7 to 1.
Wow.
You know, of return to what we've had to put in from local tax dollars. And
Sure.
I don't know that I'll be able to maintain that, but it sure is fun to try.
Well, I can't thank you three enough for coming. You're just as one of our partners with Visionary, and thank you for being a chamber member as well. And of course, Emily and Eric and your work in continuing to make this happen, not only locally, but regionally, is just so important for us. And we're so grateful for your time and your efforts in making this happen for our residents and our businesses. You know, Stacie, you might get a few calls after this live stream with, can I get 1 gig service? So
they can call us, or they can go to the website and put their address in,
Perfect.
and that'll let them look at some of the different options they can choose. And our customer service folks are really great at helping figure out what's the best thing for you, whether you want to use your own router, whether you want to use our router. I always say our router. But yes, please call us or go online and put your address in, and we'll call you.
All right. Well, any last words of wisdom or important announcements before we give everybody their Wednesday back?
The only other thing I was going to mention, since you brought up some of the other projects, is one of the other big areas that helps Visionary too, is that we only have one path of fiber coming into and out of the region right now, and that's in a year and a half ago. That's what went down. Took our cellular down, took our telephones down, took almost all internet except for Visionary. Actually had a microwave backup, and so it was overloaded, but it still worked.
Yep.
And so we're actively also, you mentioned regionally, that we're pursuing that. So a lot of people know that there's fiber coming down the pass that's being built by CDOT, and we're doing everything we can, believe me, to make sure that we not only have access to that, but it's going to be the type of usage that we need, and that our providers like Visionary will need to be able to be resilient and get either even cheaper bandwidth that they can provide you, which will lower your cost. And then we have an alternate path. So if one gets cut, you don't go down. And so as we're becoming more and more dependent on internet for basically all communications, that's where it's all going in. It's what they call convergence. And so if we don't have that, both from how much bandwidth we have available to us, but also the redundancy, then when it gets cut, its impact is going to be felt even harder than it used to be in the past when we were so dependent on it. Sure. So we're also building a line that goes to Durango. So that'll give us 2 paths out besides the ones that we have now. And that may happen as soon as next summer.
Amazing. Well, I often call Pagosa an inland island, and hopefully we will not be a technology island much longer. So, and I think that's because of all your work and the partners that we've done. Again, Visionary, La Plata Electric, and so many others, CDOT, that we're working with. Thank you all so much for your time and your information. It is great news for our community. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us today. And remember, very important news coming down the pike. So that's exciting for all our broadband users because it's not an amenity anymore. It's a utility, basically. So it's something that we rely on and expect. So again, please jump online and buy your tickets for the community conversation and the community awards, which is the Chamber's annual meeting. And we look forward to seeing you there. And otherwise, everybody stay warm and have a wonderful Wednesday and a wonderful week. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.